The year was 1944. The war was everywhere loud, cruel, endless. But in a quiet valley between France and Germany, something happened that didn't make it into the newspapers or history books. Corporal Thomas Whitaker, a 26-year-old British soldier, was tired of war. He was quiet, thoughtful, and always carried a sketchbook in his bag. He used it to draw trees, birds, old buildings, anything that reminded him of peace. One morning, while walking through the forest near a small village called Brenheim, Thomas heard something unusual. A voice, a girl's voice singing. It was soft and clear. He followed the sound and saw a girl hanging laundry behind a small house. She wore a gray dress. Her hair was dark. She looked peaceful, as if she didn't belong in a world of war. Her name was Elise. She was German. Her father had been taken by soldiers for helping others escape. Her mother died during a bombing. Elise lived alone, with a goat, a garden, and quiet strength. Thomas didn't speak to her that first day. But he came back the next day. And again, he brought her bread and soap. She gave him apples and herbs. They talked slowly, using a mix of English and German. Over time, their conversations grew longer. Then they started meeting in an old barn outside the village. A broken, forgotten place that became theirs. They laughed, shared tea, drew pictures, and slowly they fell in love. No one knew, not her neighbors, not his fellow soldiers. Their love lived in whispers and smiles. Thomas drew Elise again and again. She showed him songs from her childhood.
Sometimes I imagine this barn is our house,
she said.
You are a painter, and I grow flowers.
I draw your flowers every day.
Thomas replied.
And your face, too.
They found something rare peace in a world that had lost it. But war does not care about peace. One day, someone saw them. Perhaps a child or a farmer. Fearful of punishment, he reported the sighting. The next day, a stern German officer named Herr Kruger arrived at Elise's door. He did not bring soldiers, but his words were heavy enough.
People say you meet with an English soldier,
he said, placing a sealed envelope on her kitchen table.
Inside is a signed statement accusing you of treason. Tomorrow morning, if I do not receive proof that you have ended all contact, this paper goes to headquarters. You know what happens after that.
He tipped his cap and walked away, leaving the house quiet. Too quiet. Elise sat at the table for hours, staring at the envelope, her tears falling on the wax seal. Night wrapped the valley. But her choice remained clear as day: sacrifice the man she loved, or lose her own life. The next morning, she went to the barn. Her face was pale, her fingers twisting the letter Herr Kruger had given her. Thomas noticed her shaking hands.
Elise, what's happened?
She couldn't speak at first. Then she opened her fist and showed him the letter, torn and wrinkled.
They want evidence that I have betrayed you.
She whispered.
If I refuse, they will arrest me tomorrow.
Thomas read the accusation in silence. Then he took both her hands and pressed them to his heart.
We're leaving tonight.
He said firmly.
I will not let them take you.
For the first time since meeting him, Elise felt the true weight of war rushing in and the fragile hope of escape. That night, they slipped away under a sky of fast-moving clouds. 3 long days followed, rain turning paths into rivers, icy winds biting through their clothes, stomachs hollow with hunger. Yet they kept walking, hand in hand. At last they reached a busy port, where British ships were gathering soldiers. Thomas used his uniform to speak with a naval clerk.
This woman
He said quietly.
lost her family in the fighting. She has no one. Please let her board.
The clerk hesitated, then stamped a travel card. Nobody asked more. Below deck, Thomas wrapped Elise in his coat. She rested her head on his shoulder, but her voice was small.
Thomas, they may still come for us.
Then we will keep moving.
He replied.
Day by day, step by step.
For a brief while, the ship felt safe. Yet secrets cannot hide forever. A young sailor named Private Miller noticed Thomas whispering German words to Elise. Suspicion grew in his mind, sharpened by wartime fear. One evening he approached the ship's captain, Commander Rowan.
Sir, that British corporal is protecting a German civilian. They are close.
Commander Rowan quickly summoned Thomas to his cabin. The room smelled of salt and tension.
You wear the king's uniform.
Rowan said, voice low and cold.
That woman belongs to the enemy's side. If you wish to keep your post and your life, you will escort her at first light to the brig. She will be detained until we reach shore.
Rowan's eyes offered no mercy.
Refuse, and both of you will be put off the ship at the nearest coast, hostile or not.
Thomas bowed his head but did not answer. Outside, the sea groaned. That night, he and Elise stood beneath dim lantern light. She touched his bandaged arm, still weak from the long march.
I can't let them take you.
Thomas said softly.
And I can't let them ruin you.
Elise replied. They held each other until the dawn bell rang. Commander Rowan said nothing when morning came. He simply ordered 2 guards to bring Thomas and Elise to the upper deck. They did not return to port, Instead, the ship sailed farther, away from the busy harbors, away from the cities, into a quieter part of the coast. Weeks passed, then months. No one heard from Thomas or Elise. Some believed they drowned. Others thought they were killed. But a few, just a few, believed they had escaped. That somewhere in a quiet valley no map could find, they lived in peace.